Here's a step-by-step checklist just for doctors. My name is Claire Yanowitz, and I'm an attorney at the Yanowitz law firm where we help families with wills, trusts, real estate, and businesses. Okay, let's get started. So when you're considering, you've never had an estate plan done, what's a good checklist for doctors when considering all the different elements of estate planning? So the first step that I recommend is to consider where all your assets are at. So oftentimes there's a couple of assets that people might forget about. Here are those commonly forgotten assets. So oftentimes doctors will have life insurance with their employer. And that is an asset that we may not think about on a day-to-day that we own, but at death, there can sometimes be a really big death benefit payout. And also sometimes that life insurance has a side fund where you have contributed money. It's like a high interest earning bank account. So that's something also to be considered when you're thinking about where all the assets are at. Another asset to consider is your pension. Oftentimes working physicians don't really think of their pension as an asset that they own, but as long as it's accrued, even if you haven't retired, but you've passed away, you pass away while working, that will be an asset at your death. Another asset that sometimes people forget about is HSAs. People who are living in long-term care facilities, sometimes they have significant deposits of like $100,000, $200,000, and people will forget that they have this big deposit at their senior living facility, and sometimes at death, if they haven't used that all up, that will go back to their family. So itemize all your assets. We have an intake form that helps people get organized in thinking about where all those assets are at. And then so once you have a total net worth and you know where all your assets are at, then you want to think about who is going to inherit your money at death. So oftentimes it's going to close family members. Sometimes people want to make charitable gifts at death. So it's important to consider what charities would you want to give to, what amounts would you want to give to. Is there certain people that you want to give dollar amount gifts to? So oftentimes people will have like a friend or maybe a sister, brother, niece, nephew that they want to give a dollar amount gift to. And so those are things to consider. Another thing to consider is if you have pets, who would get those pets upon your passing? Would they get a dollar amount to take care of those pets? So making a strategy and a plan for those pets can be really important. And then once we look at someone's total net worth, we can decide, does this person need tax planning? And there are a couple of different thresholds that we think about when we're thinking about tax planning. First is, does this person need to plan around the Minnesota estate tax? If they're married and they have more than $3 million, and that includes the value of death benefit of life insurance that they owned within 3 years of their death, then we want to make sure we make a plan that plans around estate taxes so that we can minimize estate taxes at death. If someone is quite affluent and is in the double-digit millions, then we also might have some federal estate tax planning or some generation skipping tax planning. So those are all important things that we consider as part of the plan. So at that point, we're sitting down with the client and we're talking to the physician and figuring out a plan that really works so that their wishes are executed at the time of their death, but also we save them the most amount of money, and we also want to make it as streamlined as possible. So oftentimes that means that a lot of our physicians are getting plans that avoid probate. And most of the time, they will have a revocable trust-based plan where they're putting assets in this revocable trust, and then at death, they can pass without any court involvement, without the court supervising. And so that can really reduce a lot of hassle and fees and make it really streamlined. Really at a time of life that can be really difficult for a family, it's just a way that you can really be a hero to your family in easing their burden and making it simple. So sometimes people get on the checklist of what to do. Sometimes people get hung up on, do I want to give $20,000 to this charity or $25,000? And my recommendation to people is just commit to a plan that works for now, knowing that you can always change it. If your assets go up appreciably, if they go down, you can always change it. Sometimes people will have a child who's struggling. They're not sure if they're going to make it out of the woods. They hope they do. Make a plan that works today for the child. Since we all don't know how long we have, we need to make a plan that works today and then adjust as we get more information in the future and life evolves. So once someone has committed to what they want, we get that plan in place and then they're ready to sign. After signing, the next step in the process, in the checklist, is getting those assets titled correctly. And you should really be working with an attorney that gives you really specific guidance on asset titling. This is where sometimes law firms will drop the ball, where they'll just get your will or trust done, but they don't give you advice on how to own things, how to list beneficiaries. And so at our firm, we give people a specific tailored advice to their individual situation so that they can really minimize estate taxes by making sure that assets are owned about equally between spouses most of the time. There's a lot involved in determining where assets should go, but also to minimize probate. So we don't want you to go through probate if you paid good money for a trust plan. So we want to give you really good advice so that you can avoid that probate, put things in your trust appropriately. In this phase of retitling property, we know that physicians are really busy, and so our firm has all the Mayo Clinic benefits forms and we fill them out on your behalf. We fill out your pension form, we fill out your life insurance form, your 403B, your 457. So we get that all done for you so that when you sign your documents, you sign all those forms and then we submit them to staff services on your behalf, because we know that you have busy lives and you have other things to focus on. Thank you so much for listening to this step-by-step checklist. If you want to learn more about estate planning, hit the subscribe button to our YouTube channel so that you can be alerted when we announce new videos. Thank you.